I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great weekend. Well, everything to do with holistic health doesn't have to revolve around the symptom. It doesn't have to revolve around a vitamin, a mineral, a particular food, a particular exercise regime, your stress, your sleep, and all of that stuff. Holistic health also includes the environment that we live in, the environment that our children live in, teenagers, adults, senior citizens. Good health is about the environment that is around us. We either have a good environment or we have a bad environment. Now, there are several contributing factors to a good and a bad environment. Today, I want to talk about bullying. Bullying isn't just with kids and teenagers. It happens with adults, young adults. It happens in workplaces. It even happens with senior citizens within their own family, where parents are being mistreated by their own children. And because these parents are so old and they can't react the way they would react a couple of years before when they were younger, there are children who take advantage of their parents, physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse. All of this is bullying. And the reason I'm talking about this topic today is because we get loads of parents who bring in their children, their adolescent teenagers in to meet us. And they have common symptoms like headaches, sleep issues, low appetite, constant stomach pain at certain times in the day. Younger children have bedwetting problems. You have suicidal children and teenagers and young adults coming in. Then we have people with depression, heavy anxiety, children with excuses that they don't want to go to school anymore for some particular reason, and that becomes a stomach pain, and that's why they start talking about their body paining and the reason why they don't want to go to school anymore. Well, you can't relate this to a particular food. No diet is going to fix this problem if these symptoms are caused via bullying. You see, when a child or a teenager gets bullied, it's not just emotional and mental, it is also physical. Most bullying that happens today is caused because of people who have low self-esteem. Most bullies are not strong people. They are cowards, they are insecure, and they have very, very low self-esteem. No disrespect to bullies, because most of the children and teenagers bullying other children or even young adults, it's not their faults. It's the way they were brought up. It was their parenting that they went through. Some cases it's psychological and mental, but in most cases it's behavioral. And the sooner we understand that there are young kids today getting slapped on with ADHD, hypersensitive, anger issues, and all of these problems by doctors and nutritionists and everyone else without looking at the root cause, which could be as simple as bullying. Unfortunately, you go back a couple of years, bullying was common when we grew up and someone bullied you and you fought back or you punched them, and we grew up with that. Times have changed today. Today, the person being bullied, if that bully finally can't take it anymore and punches the person who's bullying them, the person who got bullied actually becomes the culprit and is slapped with anger issues and is sent to a counselor and stuff like that. So times have changed, which is why we can no longer say stand up on your own and fight back and stuff like that, because we're bound by all these weak emotional laws that don't help us grow and evolve emotionally. We can see that in the real world today. Most children grow up today emotionally protected by their parents, by their teachers, and everyone else. And they're taught that everyone's equal and life is fair and we should get what we want and life isn't difficult. And the moment they step out into the real world, where we know that's all a lie, because the moment you step out in the real world, yes, there will be competition. You will not be the best always. You will fail. You don't have to have it all the way you expect it to be. Things change, and all of a sudden, your child can't take it anymore. Your young child who's now become a young adult can't take it anymore because they grew up learning that things come easy to them. They learned indulgence without discipline. They learned that everyone loves them, everyone should love you. They learned that there's no negativity and everything is just positive and a big pink bubble. And that's shattered when they step out into the real world. And that's why we have a rising number of depression cases, anxiety, more low self-esteem, suicidal, people who feel like they're failures even though they are so good, people who think they're fat even when they're thin and they have great bodies. This is all low self-esteem. And what happens is with bullies, it further moves on into a bigger problem: violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, violence in relationships, abuse of sex, constant anxiety. And all of these things keep on growing up in that person's life as a bully because the problem was never corrected at a root cause. What is self-esteem? Most bullies have low self-esteem. Whether your manager's a bully, your boss is a bully, your partner's a bully, you have a bully in school, in college, or whatever, most of them have low self-esteem. The definition of self-esteem is how we value ourselves. How do you value yourself? How do you see yourself truly who you are in this world? Low self-esteem happens when we attach our self-worth to the opinions of what other people think or to material things. So if I'm carrying this fancy handbag or driving this car, my self-esteem goes up because I got power, I got a symbol of wealth and status, and my self-esteem goes up. But the moment I don't have that handbag or I'm not in my fancy car, my self-esteem comes crashing down. If I built my self-esteem by putting other people down to make myself more popular in school and college, to make myself seem more powerful. You know, there was this beautiful study done of children and teenagers in the United States who carry weapons and never use it. They're cowards. They mostly will never use it, but they carry it because their self-esteem comes up. It's a symbol of power. So when children and teenagers misuse their parents' position, their parents' social status, worth in society, what happens is they tend to start using it as a way to judge their self-worth. And when it's not there tomorrow or decreases, their self-esteem falls, and then they need to get more and more into the vice that they're attached to. Let's get straight into the root causes. They say everything starts at home, and mostly, yes. I'm not here to blame parents. I'm not here to blame schools. We're here to tackle a problem which is growing and creating medical issues, not just physically and emotionally. What happens is, number one, poor parenting. Indulgence isn't bad. Indulgence without discipline is the worst way of bringing up your kid. No one's stopping parents from indulging their children. You're rich, you have wealth, indulge them, but teach them boundaries. Teach them how to draw the line. Teach them discipline. Learn to discipline them when they make mistakes, when they are wrong. If you do indulgence without discipline, your children feel that they're entitled. And they may just get that behavior, that treatment at home. It doesn't mean they'll get that same treatment from their friends, from schools, from society. And when they don't get it from society and home, they expect it because they're getting it at home. And that's when they start getting angry. They have this sense of control. They want to control everything. They start getting into vices of drugs, alcohol, or physical violence, or beating other people, or using harsh words to make people around them feel little and small. That comes down to parenting. There's nothing wrong with indulgence, but add that discipline. We should also understand that parents with low self-esteem, that low self-esteem quality will trickle very quickly into your children. So if you have low self-esteem as a parent, you should be working, you should be doing a lot of self-work to get out of that mode of low self-esteem, because it will trickle down from you to your children and then translate maybe into bullying. Using position and power. Okay, we see this happening in politics. We see this happening in schools, colleges, everywhere else. If the parents have a power position or they have a lot of wealth and stuff, children think that that power is automatically given to them and they can misbehave in society, put down other people, ridicule other people, or bully them. Parents it's not your fault if you have position and power. You earned it. Okay, now it is your job, and it's a big responsibility to make your child understand that position and power comes with respect and responsibility and accountability. It's not just handed down. You'll be surprised at the amount of children who behave like their parents because they see exactly that's what their parents do. So when parents use their position and power to bully themselves out of situations, to put down other people, to bribe, get themselves out of difficult situations that they've gotten by using their money, flaunting their contacts and their powers, your children think they can do the same. And that's what makes your children inadequate. It's not the fault of the child, it is the fault of the parent. When kids are abused at home, emotionally and mentally, this is a big issue. If parents rob their children of self-esteem, you bring up a child with low self-esteem, and they will either get very badly bullied or they will become bullies themselves. Now, how do you rob a child of self-esteem? By constantly ridiculing them, name-calling them, comparing them with their siblings or comparing them with other people's families and children and society and stuff like that. You should be grateful that you have a unique child given to you. Your job is not to compare your children with anyone else, but respect their individuality and to have faith in them. If they may be slow learners, they may not be looking the way that you want them to look and stuff like that, that is your insecurity, that is your inadequacy. And you need to work on your low self-esteem, like I said, or it will trickle to your children. So when you rob your children of self-esteem, I told you in several videos, children look for three things: love, security, and care. If they get this at home, they do not look for it outside. If they do not get it at home, how do they find it outside? By you doing it the wrong way, putting down people, okay, showing off in school, ridiculing other people to make themselves higher. How do you get up high on a pedestal? By pushing someone down. You push someone down, you get up on a pedestal. That is bullying. Disrespecting your children. When you disrespect your children, you rob them of their self-esteem. And disrespected children want respect. They want love, care, and security. And if they're not getting it at home, they will find ways to get it outside. They'll get into poor relationships, poor relationship choices. They'll be vulnerable. They'll bully people. They use violence, harsh words to make themselves feel a little more important because they don't get that importance at home. And violence at home. Violence at home, your children will see this. And it won't make them more sober, but most of the kids will become more violent. Even good kids bully. It doesn't have to be just bad kids. Even good kids can bully when they are entitled, when they are not disciplined at home. And when it comes to schools, we need to understand that the schools where the most bullying happens is also a fault of the school. Because the very fact that a bully in a school is not scared of discipline or the rules that the school should have around bullying, okay, it only reflects on the school. And it is important for the parents to work with the school and the schools to work with the parents to come together to eradicate this problem. Because in an army, if you're in an army, you will not be in discipline because you have a fear of the rules and regulations. And this is the same discipline, not fear, that has to be induced into children in schools and in colleges. We've come across so many children who have been ragged in college and stuff like that. And the people who rag are the cowards. They are the most insecure people. They are the people who are craving love and attention and acknowledgement and validation. And they don't get it in their lives. And so they get it out of pushing someone down. We need to understand that it's an excuse. A lot of students are told that, oh, ragging will make you stronger, it'll help you face the world. There was a beautiful study done where they tracked the performance and where people were raggers, people who ragged other people, where they were in life. And we're yet to see someone successful. So it just doesn't show you that they're preparing you for life. There are other ways and other things that will prepare you for life. So you need to understand that if you are one person out there bullying someone or ragging up, you need to understand that yes, you are a coward and you are insecure. That's not a bad thing, but you need to fix yourself. Because by putting down other people, it is not going to make you a better person. It'll give you that sense of power for a few minutes, but it is only pushing you deeper and deeper into a negative spiral. You have to be very, very careful of people who view violence in a positive aspect. So some children grow up with violent video games where they spend a lot of time, and every video game shows violence in a very positive way. So children growing up thinking violence is positive. And so they don't think that they're doing something wrong. And that's a very, very, very big issue. So yes, as a parent, you need to draw boundaries, restrict them from certain TV programs, video games, keep track of their social media time and all of these things. This is your responsibility. It doesn't make you a cool parent because you allow your kid to do what you want. It makes you a very insecure parent to allow your kids to do what they want because you are too scared to affect discipline and change in your child's life. It is a tough job where you will have to face the wrath of your child and certain words and things that your child says. But that is your job as a parent, to take it with responsibility and accountability and lay down the lines of discipline. Okay? The cool parents think, oh, my son will do anything, we're cool about it. No, the problem is still with the parent because the parent has a problem in that case. Families that lack warmth and involvement of the parents in the child's life, you create the wrong environment for your child and your child will look for it outside. We spoke about boundaries and limits. Supervision of parents is extremely important. It is not the job of your nanny or your servant or your driver to supervise your child. That is your job as a parent. If you are not going to take these responsibilities, don't have a child. It's as simple as that. No one is forcing parents to have children out there. But if you've built up your whole team of nannies and servants to discipline your children, that's a sorry excuse of being a parent. Number one. What we need to understand is this also happens in college, this also happens in workplaces. The worst bosses and the worst managers are those who bully their employees instead of inspiring them. Leadership means inspiration. You lead your people to perform by inspiring them, by motivating them. The easiest way is to bully them, to use your hierarchy as a manager or a VP or a CEO, as a GM or something. You can use your hierarchy and rank to put down your people and drive performance. But again, these managers, they need a lot of training on their own self-worth, their own emotional issues. They are not happy themselves. They've probably been bullied in their life at some point, or they've got through life bullying and putting down other people. So we need to understand that even the productivity of a company and employee morale can improve tenfold. It's not always that employees are only looking for raises and more money. Most employees are looking for respect. They're looking for appreciation, and they're looking to be treated the right way by their bosses and their managers. And most companies think it's only about raising and giving them rewards. No, human beings, if they get appreciation and respect, everything else comes secondary, everything. So bullying happens at work because we have young adults who come with constant stomach pains and headaches, and I have one question: when does it occur? And most of them, it happens only when they're at office. And I say, when in office does it occur? It occurs when I'm in this particular meeting. Who's in this meeting? A, B, C. Who out of A, B, and C do you have a bad relationship? Person B. Your root cause of your problem and your headache and your stomach ache and your chronic colitis and IBS is person B. No vitamin's gonna fix that. No allopathy is gonna fix that. No homeopathy is gonna fix that. No amount of exercise is gonna fix that. Fixing the relationship with person B or leaving person B is gonna fix that. So bullying happens all the time. What we need to understand and what schools need to teach children, because bullying happens in the higher classes towards lower classes. So if there's a third grader bullying a second grader or a seventh grader bullying a sixth grader, teach children to use their power and their growth to uplift and inspire people lower than them, not to bully them and use it as authority. We're not supposed to use authority to help people evolve. So when we teach our children to respect younger children, to help them, uplift them, you see a sick child, you see a disabled child, you see a slow child, and everyone laughs at them. You're not helping that child grow in any way. And we need to teach children that someone who is lower than them in terms of their age needs your help. So you empower your child with the power to use it responsibly and positively. The easiest way is to use authority, and so that they put people down. And schools need to understand this. Schools, the same way, if you have two siblings in your family, you make it the responsibility of the elder sibling to look after the younger sibling. And they take it up with so much of pride and so much of responsibility, because everyone likes to be empowered. No one likes to be controlled like a puppet. People want to be empowered. You give them the skill, you teach them, and you leave them. You don't try to control them and micromanage them and all of that stuff. So if children in higher grades are taught to respect lower children and tell them that, listen, you have the power to facilitate change in the children who are upcoming, that's going to change the whole situation of what's happening in schools and stuff right now. Cyberbullying is huge. Cyberbullying is when your child is getting mentally and emotionally abused on YouTube, on social media, and all of these things. You need to understand that this is now a crime. And I have a really good friend, Akanksha, who's been working with the police across the country to bring cyberbullying to a stop. So she is going to post her contacts and coordinates and even the crime cell numbers in case your children are getting cyberbullied. Now, if you have a great relationship with your children should have a space to communicate with you when they are getting bullied. If every time they get bullied and your only response to them is, oh, come on, grow up, be strong, they're not going to share it with you anymore, because they're looking for security from you. There are other ways to make your child tough in life. This is not one of them. You should also know that if you're not getting support from your schools, there is a law passed by the Supreme Court. If the school is not supporting your child in getting who's getting bullied, not solving the problem, is not coming to some terms of solution to your child, you can approach the law, and the Supreme Court will take the school under whatever it's called, because the Supreme Court has passed a law that it is the school's responsibility to provide a safe environment for our children. So sometimes we even need to know the laws of our own country, because if we find that we don't get the support, and this is not about blaming schools, the parents, the children and the schools have to work together to solve these problems. And if we as parents and we as citizens are going to turn a blind eye to all of this happening, okay, maybe it's not your kid getting bullied, maybe your kid will be bullied tomorrow or day after, it'll never happen. But if you know of bullying happening with other children, this is where communities need to come together and support a cause. You can't expect the government to change this for you. You can't expect politicians to change this for you. You can't expect your schools alone to change this for you. You need to come together as a community for what is right. And you need to pursue it until you get a solution. It's as simple as that. There are so many emotionally scarred children who are growing up into teenagers, and emotionally scarred teenagers growing up into adults today. And they suffer from health problems for a lifetime, and they think they're sick, but they have these scars which happened when they were younger. And if they're addressed, your child who's now an adult can possibly heal. But of course, prevention is better than cure. We all know that. So we need to come together to end this problem no matter what it takes. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.